thank you for being here. Now I want to introduce our presenters. So Khaled, Abu Awwad. Khaled is among the foremost figures in the Palestinian community working towards peace and reconciliation between Palestinians and Israelis. He's been a part of the founding of 3 groundbreaking organizations, has been awarded various international prizes for his projects, including the UNESCO Madanjit Singh Prize, I hope I said that right, I apologize, for the promotion of nonviolence and tolerance in 2011. He was named one of the 500 most influential Muslims in 2010 by the Royal Islamic Strategic Studies Center. Khaled's family has also been greatly affected by the conflict, which has shaped his beliefs and actions. His mother and his brother Ali, some of us here met Ali when he spoke here several years ago, were jailed during the first Intifada for extended periods, and Khaled himself spent a total of 18 months in confinement. In 2000, his brother Yusuf was killed by Israeli soldiers. 2 years later, another brother, Saeed, died 10 days after being wounded. And his son, Muad was seriously wounded and left handicapped. In 2009, his son, Hanan, was arrested and jailed for several years, and jailed again at the end of 2015 and then released in July of 2017. With everything that he has faced, Khaled remains dedicated to nonviolence and communication. I'll just pause with that, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger is an Orthodox rabbi and teacher who has been profoundly transformed by his encounters with Palestinians and the Palestinian people beginning in late 2013. As he never tires of saying, he is now healing from the hubris of exclusivity with which he was afflicted all of his adult life. Originally hailing from New York, Rav Hanan immigrated to Israel on his own at the age of 20 and has lived in Alon Shrut in Gush Etzion for 14 years. He grew up in a secular Jewish family, but already at the end of high school began delving into observant Judaism. There's a lot more I'll say, I'll just say a few things. From 1998 to 2000, he served as a fellow in Judaic Fellows Program in Boca Raton, Florida. In 2005, Rabbi Schlesinger came to Dallas, Texas, to serve as the head of the community Kollel, and he spent 8 years serving the Dallas Jewish community. It was in Dallas about 17 years ago that he began to become involved in interfaith work, first with Christians and then with Muslims. There he founded Faith and Conversation, a framework for Jewish, Christian, and Muslim theological dialogue. I could say a lot more, but I'm going to let them talk about roots. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Khaled, my colleague, is of course a Palestinian Muslim, and I'm an Israeli Jew. Both of us come here tonight bearing the pain of our respective peoples. I'm bearing the pain of Israel, the pain of the Jewish people. Khaled is bearing the pain of the Palestinian people. So I come here with great anguish and trauma and mourning. And Khaled comes with all of the baggage of the Palestinian people at this point. It's extremely difficult, as you very well know. But we want it to be clear that there's no competition of suffering between the two of us. Each side's pain is almost unbearable. It's infinite. We cannot argue or talk which side is carrying more pain. On both sides is too much. It's just too much. And it's so important for us to say that despite the fact that it's too much, there is still room in Khaled's heart, and there's still room in my heart for the pain of the other side. We come bearing the pain of both peoples, and we offer that to you as a possible model of emulation. It is possible to hold two pains in one heart. I'm a Jew, I'm a Zionist, I'm a settler. When I say I'm a Jew, I'm talking about the religion, but much more than that, I'm talking about Jewish peoplehood, the sense of being an extended family. And when I say I'm a Zionist, I'm part of the national liberation movement of the Jewish people. And I lived on my flesh, as you just heard. I was born in New York. When I was 20, I made Aliyah. And I fulfilled the dreams of 2,000 years of our people in exile, crying, hoping, yearning, praying, the Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. And I merited to fulfill those dreams and come home after all those long, hard years. And then I said, I'm a settler. Let's give 1 minute of history. We're looking at the map. You see there, West Bank in gray or white, blue. You see in orange, the state of Israel proper. The state of Israel was founded in 1948. The West Bank at that point was occupied by Jordan until 1967. 1967, in the Six-Day War, Israel conquered the West Bank. And that dotted line that separates the two, of course, is the green line. And after the war, Israel, the state of Israel, allowed its Jewish citizens to move across the green line into the West Bank and settle there. I've been now over 40 years there in the West Bank. I want to tell you that I didn't move there at the outside for politics. I moved there because of history. Because the Jewish people was born in the West Bank. The book of Genesis, Joshua, 80% of the Bible, if not 85%, is about and was written in the West Bank. And just like I moved there because of history, so because of history, I don't call it the West Bank, I call it Judea Samaria, because that's what our people have called it for 2,500 years. And despite the truth and the glory of my identity, my stories that I just encapsulated in 1 second, I began to learn about 11 years ago that in a certain sense, I don't really know who I am and I don't really know what I'm talking about. Until 11 years ago, I never met a Palestinian. Until 11 years ago, I lived as if the Jewish story, the Zionist story, the settler story are the only stories in that land. For me, the Palestinians didn't exist. They weren't part of my world. They were like the gray drab scenery that passes in the background of my movie, our movie, the Jewish movie, and they're not part of the plot, so you can safely ignore them. And I did. You can say I was blind or they were transparent. And when I first met my Palestinian neighbors, I began to see there's another story in that land. There's the truth in that land. And today I believe very deeply that if you mistake part of the truth for the whole truth, then you're very close to falsehood, and that's not a place that I want to be any longer. So here's a tiny bit of my story. I'm driving my car 11 years ago in Gush Etzion, south of Jerusalem, between Bethlehem and Hebron, where I live. And I had 2 Protestant pastors in the car. They wanted me to show them around. So I showed them the roads we paved, the forests we planted, the settlements, the buildings, the institutions, the synagogues that we've created. And as we're driving, I saw on the side of the road a hitchhiker. I picked him up. A few minutes later, another hitchhiker. I picked him up as well. We drove. They asked to get out of the car. I let them off. We started to drive again. And then one of the pastors in the car, his name is Bob Roberts from Dallas, Texas. He said to me, Hanan, that's a great thing you just did. You taught us a lesson in Jewish ethics. In Texas, no one picks up hitchhikers. So I said to Bob, you know, Bob, it's not just me around here. We all pick up hitchhikers. We have a common vision. We trust each other. And just like everyone else, I do my best to pick up every person who puts out his finger for a ride. And by the time I finished that sentence, I realized that I was lying. I was lying to Bob and the other pastor, Kevin, even more so. I was lying to myself. I really believed what I said. I pick up every person, but it was not true. What I should have said is I pick up every Jew. I had never picked up a Palestinian in my life, even though they're most of the population where I live. And I didn't know that I'd never picked up a Palestinian, which means that I didn't see the Palestinians. It means they were transparent and I was blind. And it dawned on me at that moment that there's something wrong with me. The Palestinians are not human beings in my eyes. I have to find a way to fix that. And I said to the pastors, and I said to myself, the way to fix it is to meet them. Turn them into human beings. And I began my journey to meet my Palestinian neighbors. Now, when I say neighbors, geographically, we live very close to each other. There's a Palestinian village of 600 people, Khirbat Zakaria. It's called a 5-minute walk from my front door. But then 11 years ago, I'd never been there. I did not know anyone who lived there. I was afraid to go in. How am I going to meet my neighbors? I won't tell the whole story, but we're now moving to the last Wednesday of January 2014. I have an invitation, I have a map, I know where I'm supposed to go. I get up from the chair, I'm sitting in my living room. I walk to the front door, open the door, put one foot over the threshold, and before I can walk out, my wife calls behind me, where are you going? I said to her, I'm going to meet Palestinians. That's when all hell broke loose. She started to scream, what do you mean meet Palestinians? They'll kill you. And I came back in the house and I approached my wife. I saw the terror in her eyes. She begged me not to go. I told her I had to do this. I walked back to the door. This time I put 2 feet over the threshold. I closed the door behind me. And I remember walking out and saying to myself, perhaps my wife is right. Perhaps they will kill me. I was afraid. My heart was pounding. And I walked. I didn't take the car. It wasn't to Khirbat Zakaria. It was a little bit further away, a 25-minute walk. And then I find myself entering a Palestinian farm. There's a stone fence around it, a metal gate at the entrance, and I walk in and I see something that I've never seen before, something that's impossible. I saw 15 Israelis, some of them my neighbors, and 15 Palestinians doing the strangest thing. They were talking to each other. And that doesn't happen where we come from. They're inside, they're in little groups, 2 over here, 3 over here, 4. I saw a Palestinian woman standing alone. She's in brown from head to toe. Only her face was visible, clearly observant Muslim. I walked up to her. We talked in English about a minute. Her son came over. She introduced me. She said his name is Yazin. He's 17 years old. And Yazin and I start to talk. He's wearing a windbreaker. And on the jacket are 3 words in the English language, seeds of peace. Who knows what seeds of peace is? I assume that many of you do. But I had no idea what seeds of peace is. So I look at the jacket, it has the word peace on it. I look at Yazin, he's a Palestinian, and I say to myself, this can't be. Why would a Palestinian wear a jacket with the word peace on it? So I'm a little bit confused. And I say to Yazin half jokingly, what's this seeds of peace thing? I thought he was going to say, I don't know, someone gave me the jacket. No. He told me it's a summer camp in Maine, USA. Takes Israeli kids and Palestinian kids out of the conflict zone for a summer of recreation and reconciliation. He told me the past summer he was in the camp, he had a great time, met Israeli kids, their friends on Facebook, and then he told me that he was so affected by meeting Israelis that now he wants to spend some of his life building bridges of peace between our 2 peoples. And I remember looking at Yazin and not knowing if I can believe what he's saying, because it contradicted everything that I thought to be true. And you could say that Yazin and his mother Tzadiah were the first 2 Palestinians that began the process of deeply unsettling me. His father walks over, Tzadiah's husband. We shake hands. His name is Jamal. He asked me my name. He said, where do you live? I said, Alon Shvut. Jamal, where do you live? Beit Umar. He said those 2 words, Beit Umar, and I had half of a heart attack. They're from Beit Umar. I know Beit Umar. It's a Palestinian city of 23,000 Palestinians. It's about an 8-minute drive from my home going south on the main road. I was ambushed once in the middle of the night, right next to Beit Umar. Another time I was with my wife and the kids in the car in the middle of the day. The rocks are coming from this side and from that side. The windshield is breaking. The car is rocking. Everyone's screaming. So I know there are people in Beit Umar. And I have a friend who was gunned down and killed on that road. A doctor at Hadassah Hospital coming home from work late one night, murdered. And now it turns out I'm talking to this family from Beit Umar. Jamal starts telling me how he got to this gathering of Israelis and Palestinians. He said, Hanan, you know, there's no Jews in Beit Umar, okay? But there are the Jewish soldiers who guard the entrance to the city, and we hate them because they make life miserable. And because they're the only Jews we know, and we hate them by extension, we hate all Jews. No one in Beit Umar said would ever want to have a social connection with a Jew. But he had this friend, he said many years ago, from Jericho. And he said, Jamal, I go to a dialogue group of Israelis and Palestinians. Why don't you come with me? And Jamal said to me, I told my friend I'm never ever going with you. That's only for the weak people, the traitors. A proud Palestinian does not go to meet the enemy. But the friend wouldn't take no for an answer, and he keeps trying to convince Jamal month after month. And Jamal tagged along in the end. They sat in the room in Jericho, Israelis and Palestinians. Jamal said, I didn't participate. I sat in the corner, but I listened. And at the end of the dialogue session, Jamal said that one of the Israeli men got up from his chair and looked at me. Why is he looking at me? And he started to walk towards me. I was really afraid what he was going to do to me. He came right up to me, Jamal said, and forced me to shake his hand. And he asked me questions I had no choice but to answer, a very unpleasant conversation. And when he finally walked away, Jamal said, I wiped the sweat off my brow and ran to the bathroom to wash the filth off my hand from touching a Jew and vowed never to come back to this cursed place. He went home, told his wife, she said, you made a big mistake going there. What has to happen now is never go back and never tell anyone in Beit Umar that you were there. But Jamal's friend had other plans, and I don't know how it happened. But pretty soon afterwards, Jamal and his wife Sadia found themselves again in that room in Jericho. And then a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time, fifth time, Jamal told me, my wife and I became part of that group. And Hanan, where I thought there was only an enemy, I discovered a human being who turned out to be a partner, and that changed me. And I'm listening to Jamal, and I'm feeling just like I felt while I was listening to his son a few minutes ago. Can I believe what he's saying? This Palestinian from Beit Umar, he's become a peace activist? I'm getting more and more confused. Jamal told me more stories, each one more confusing than the other. We sat in a circle, 15 Israelis and 15 Palestinians, and then Ali Abu Awwad, who some of you met 5 or 6 years ago, gets up to talk to all of us in perfect Hebrew that it turns out that he learned from many years in Israeli jail. He said, I'm Ali Abu Awwad from a proud Palestinian family. For generations we lived in Kubeba. And I said to myself, what's Kubeba? Where's Kubeba? He said that in 1948 we had to leave during the war. The family scattered. And my grandparents and parents came to the area of Beit Umar. We've been living there since then, until 1967 under Jordanian occupation. And then he said, since 67, we've been living under the rigors, the difficulties of the Israeli occupation. And Ali said those two words, Israeli occupation. And that was the first time in my life that a human being in my presence used those two words. I had no idea what Ali was talking about. Now, make no mistake, I heard the expression on the radio hundreds of times. And I read in the newspaper, perhaps thousands of times, the United Nations is always condemning the Israeli occupation. But I had no idea where this might be. Because when I drive on the roads of Samaria, when I walk in the fields of Judea, I don't see occupation. I see the return of the Jewish people to our ancient homeland after 2,000 years of exile. What could be more righteous than that? But Ali is saying he lives under occupation. He said he lives in Palestine. He says he's fighting non-violently for the liberation of Palestine. I say to myself, where's Palestine? What is he talking about? And then he said that during the first Intifada, his mother was a leader, giving out pamphlets, organizing strikes. The Israeli soldiers, he said, that means my soldiers, came to the house and threatened her. The second time they beat her up. The third time they took her to jail for 6 years. And then he said he was sentenced to 10 years in Israeli jail. That means my jail, and not told the charges in the secret file against him. So I'm going to get up and say, Ali, you're a liar. You're making up. That can't be. But I did not get up and scream because Ali was not trying to convince us of anything. He was just telling the story of his life. And I went home that day utterly confounded and challenged and confused and settled and undone. What are those Palestinians talking about? Where is this occupation? Where is Palestine? And I feel there's a war going inside in my stomach, and I'm getting nauseous. I have to bend down and pick my stomach up and put it back in. I was so confused, I couldn't go on. A few days later, I went back to the same place. I met Ali and Jamal and the other Palestinians. We started to talk, and I wasn't the only Israeli that wanted to meet them. We were 3 Israelis and 3 Palestinians. And the next week, 5 and 5. The next week, 10 and 10. And the weeks became months, became years. Once a week, until the wee hours of the night, we sat around the campfire. And what we did was not dialogue. It was stories. The Palestinians told us the stories of who they are, and we Israeli Jews told the stories of who we are. And it was very hard to listen because their stories contradict our stories, and our stories contradict their stories. When Ali told us Jews that he and his people were fighting non-violently for the liberation of Palestine, that's like a dagger to our hearts. And when I told the Palestinians that after 2,000 years of exile, I've come home from New York to the land of Israel, that's like a dagger to their hearts. So hard to listen. We felt we were traitors for listening. We felt we wanted to get up and shout. We felt that we wanted to run away, not come back. But that's not what we did. We listened until it hurt, and we listened some more. Then the next week, after you've heard their stories and asked questions of clarification, you can then tell your story. In the process of telling stories and listening to stories, we created Roots, the Israeli-Palestinian grassroots initiative for understanding nonviolence and transformation. And that piece of land where we first met, owned by Ali and Khaled, by their family, became the Dignity Center. The Dignity Center, Merkaz Karama, we made it into a community center, the only joint Israeli-Palestinian community center in the whole West Bank. And we brought more and more local people to meet local people. What happens when the two sides meet in the framework of Roots is, number one, humanization. To get over the demonization, what you thought about them, that they're monsters. It's not that hard. It takes 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings, and you see they're human beings. But it's so important to emphasize that's not the end of the story. That's not the most important thing. The second stage is more important. To come face to face with the fact that that human being that you met just now is the bearer of a national, political, religious identity that contradicts yours. What she thinks about herself is not what I think about her. And what she thinks about me is not what I think about myself. And I have to find room in my heart to accept and recognize that there is some truth in what she thinks about herself, and there even is some truth in what she thinks about me. Here are some additional things that we learned over the course of the past 11 years. Almost at the outset, Ali said that many, many Palestinians, most of them, go to sleep at night dreaming that the Jews will disappear tomorrow. Because the Palestinians know that the Jews don't belong. And just like the Algerians thought long and hard and threw out the French colonial occupiers, so the Palestinians will throw out the Jewish colonial occupiers. It was very, very hard for us Jews to hear Ali admit that that's the way most Palestinians think. But you know what? We Jews had to admit that we go to sleep at night with the same dreams. We dream that we'll wake up tomorrow and the Palestinians will disappear because we know they don't belong. It's our land and not theirs. We'll make it hard enough for them and they'll leave. The Palestinians said to us, but we have no other place to go. And we Jews told the Palestinians, but we have no other place to go. So now what happens when you begin to realize that they, whoever they is, on both sides, they really have no other place to go, and they'll always be here. You begin to realize that you, and I mean me, have been living your life on the basis of a fantasy, an illusion that one day we will be here without them, but it's not going to happen. And then it fries your brain. You have to reconfigure everything you think about the past, the present, and especially the future. Next, we began to understand that most Israeli Jews and most Palestinians construct their identities upon the erasure of the other side's identity. The Palestinians and the Israelis think they know who the other side is and will tell you who you are. But after you listen and listen some more, you realize you know nothing about who they are. You can't tell them who they are. They will tell you who they are, and they then will listen when you tell who you are. You know what the Palestinians say about the Jews? They say, Jew, very nice. The Quran greatly respects Judaism, but it's a faith. It's a religion. It's not a people. It's not a nation. You don't need land, so go back to Russia where we came from. And the Israelis say to the Palestinians, Palestinian? You know there's no such thing. It's a made-up identity. There never was a Palestinian state. You're just Arabs. So go back to Saudi Arabia you came from. Why did you come to take our land? But when you listen, you learn humility. You learn that you may have been afflicted your whole life with the hubris of exclusivity. It turns out there's another people there. You don't know who they are. You have to let them tell who they are. And you begin this process of healing from the hubris of exclusivity to the humility of multiplicity and pluralism. And Ali sums it all up by saying we have to find a way to fit two truths into one heart. Two truths into one heart and two peoples into one land. And now as I come to the last part of my presentation, I'm going to translate that into three principles that culminate in a fourth. Here's the first principle. There is such a thing as the Palestinian people. That's very hard for most Israelis and for many, many Jews. And that principle is a corollary. There is such a thing as the Jewish people. That's very hard for most Palestinians. Second principle. There is such a thing as the land of Palestine. That's very hard for most Israelis and Jews. And the corollary is there's such a thing as the historical land of Israel. Very hard for most Palestinians. Principle number 3. The Palestinian people are deeply connected to the land of Palestine. And the corollary is the Jewish people are deeply connected to the land of Israel. And if you managed to bear with me with those three principles, we get to the fourth, which is that the historical borders of the land of Palestine and the historical borders of the land of Israel are more or less the exact same borders. From the river to the sea is all Palestine. And from the same river, the Jordan River, to the same sea, the Mediterranean, is all historical Israel. That's not politics, that is history and identity. And it won't change, it can't change. What that means is that that one land between the river to the sea has two identities. It is both Palestine and Israel. To put that in metaphorical terms, the Holy Land, Mother Earth, has given birth to two children, the Palestinians and the Jews, and they are fighting and killing each other over the question, who is legitimate child of that mother? And we're coming here tonight to say that both Jews and Palestinians are legitimate children, equally legitimate children of that holy mother, the Holy Land. I'm coming to a close with three principles of our organization of Roots. The three principles are settlers, religion, and 3 settlements. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Settlers. The Jewish settlers in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, have been considered, and they are, one of the core problems of our conflict. And therefore, the solution is to ignore them. That's been the approach of the peace camp for the past 40, 50 years. And we all know it hasn't worked. And Roots comes with something that's revolutionary, unfortunately, which is, if the settlers are part of the problem, then the settlers have to be part of the solution. The work of Roots is almost exclusively with the settlers. Because they're the people we have to bring into the peace camp. It's so simple. Principle number 2, I said, is religion. Religion is a deep, central part of the problem in our conflict. That means Judaism is part of the problem and Islam is part of the problem. And the solution is, of course, to ignore religion and go away. That's been the approach of the peace camp for the past 50 years. It doesn't work. It didn't work. And Roots says, if religion is part of the problem, then religion has to be part of the solution. You have to bring religious people to talk to religious people. And they have to talk about religion. It doesn't mean kumbaya. It doesn't mean talk about love your neighbor as yourself. He talks about the difficult texts. Put the hateful texts on the table and own them. Take responsibility for them and then find ways to reinterpret them, to marginalize them, to bring other texts to the fore. That's a central part of the work we do in Roots. Number 3 is settlements. You heard me say that Roots greatly respects the Palestinian connection to the whole land from the river to the sea, meaning they should have the right to live in the whole land, not just in the West Bank, but also in Israel proper. And Jews, you heard me say that Roots greatly cherishes the Jewish connection to the whole land from the river to the sea, which means that Jews should have the right to live in the whole land, including the West Bank, but not at the expense of the Palestinian people. And the settlements have absolutely come at the expense of the Palestinian people. And that's wrong, that has to change. And that's why the work of Roots focuses with the settlers, with religion, and with the settlements. They're not going to go away on their own. You have to hold the bull by the horns and deal with it. I will close. The work of Roots is people-to-people connection. Grassroots people-to-people connection. It's not political at all. And it's totally political. Because we believe that the people-to-people connections that we are creating, the identity reconciliation, will be the foundation of a future political settlement that grants dignity, equality, freedom, human rights, and security to both sides in that little sliver of land that we both call home. Thank you.
באדמה של המשפחה שלי, שבאתי לכאן והחלטתי להקים מרכז פלסטיני של אי אלימות. אני מצפה שיתקפו אותי גם בחברה שלי וגם באוכלוסייה של המתנחלים. אבל אני יודע, כל עוד שאנחנו לא מדברים עם הימין, השמאל לא יעשה שלום.
The first time I had heard someone talk about being in Israeli jail, someone talking about suffering under occupation.
זה שאני מכבד אותך, זה הכבוד שאני מכבד את עצמי, שאני מסתכל על עצמי בבית.
We believe that religion has to be part of the solution.
אללהו אכבר. אדוני הוא האלוהים.
היהודים ניצודים בארץ ישראל כמו חיות, ממש. פשוט צדים אותם. צדים אותם. רואים רכב, איפה הם? איפה השותף? איפה האח?
אתה יושב על הכלכלה שלי, אתה יושב על הבית שלי, אתה יושב על הלב שלי, אבל לא כשותף.
האם אתה מוכן להודות שהישיבה שלך פה היא ישיבה של פשע? וממילא תגיד לי מבחינה פוליטית.
The Jewish people, we own this land? We don't own this land. We belong to this land. And the Palestinian people also belong to this land.
אנחנו האחרונים בעולם שצריך לשבת אחד עם השני. באתי לבקש לדרוש איתם אחד אני. מפני שאת ואני סבלנו שלא חיפשנו את זה לפני.
The map.
שחר. السلام عليكم, مساء الخير. عرف טוב. Good evening. Every time when I've seen this movie, I remember the beginning of Roots, when we start. I've seen how he's young, have been Rabbi Schlesinger and Ali. Yes, we started Roots in 2014, and the reason that we open our land to as much as we can, people from both sides, Palestinian and Israel, to meet each other, because we think the meeting is a very important thing in the way of reconciliation between our two people. Why us? Why me? Why Ali? Why the Awwad's family, our family? Why we believe that this is the way, actually this is the only way to achieve peace in our region. My name is Khaled Abu Awwad. I'm a Palestinian. I'm an Arab. I'm a Muslim. I'm a religious person. And I am a son of a refugee Palestinian family. The story of my family with the conflict starts since 1948, when we lost our village. Originally, we came from a village called Kubebe. Kubebe, we call it nowadays Lachish. Kiryat Gat, Lachish. Anyone who know the area there as Kubebe, it's there. So in 1948, we forced to leave Kubebe. We moved to Gush Etzion because we have, my father have a work there and he have a good relationship, and so we moved there. We stayed in Gush Etzion until 1967. I born in Gush Etzion. 1967, the Six-Day War caused us to be refugee for the next time. So we left Gush Etzion to Jordan. We spent 2 weeks in Jordan during the Six-Day War, and we've been waiting until the war ended. So my parents bring us back as other hundreds of Palestinian families. We crossed the Jordan River back to the Holy Land. To return back to Gush Etzion at that time, it had been impossible. Gush Etzion became under the Israel military. So my father went to a village called Beit Ummar. And there we start the third station in the history of my family. And there we grown, me, my brothers, my sisters, as a refugee family in between local people, local Palestinian people. We are farmers originally, and all our neighbors, they all have lands, they all have houses, and we have no land, we have no house, we are living in a rent house. And we ask our parents why, where is my father, my grandfather's land, where's their houses? Israel, the Israeli state. They took everything. We grown with a lot of hatred to Israel. 1987, the first Intifada started. We, Abu Awwad's family, me, my brothers, my sisters, led by our mother. Her name is Fatma, her nickname is Yusuf. We became part of the leadership of the Intifada against Israel. The Intifada ended in 1993 with the signing of the peace agreement, Oslo agreement. We, Abu Awwad's family, as part of the Palestinian people, as part of the Palestinian leadership, we support the agreement. We said, okay, that's it. We are two people, we have been fighting each other until we reach a peace agreement. We should close the page of fighting, what's happened there happened, and we should open a new page between both of us. A new page that we both living together or side by side in peace. So we believe that's going to happen. We put our trust in our two leadership, the Palestinian leadership, the Israel leadership, that they will continue the negotiation until they bring us the peace. And here our big mistake. Because we believe that signature of two leaders in a piece of paper, that means peace, which is not. Peace is more deeply than this. So we trust them that they will bring us the peace. We have been waiting until 2000, 16th of November 2000, 6:30 p.m. in the village of Beit Umar. An Israeli military group entered to the village and they shot one of the people of the village. Yusuf Abu Awwad, 31 years old. He's a father of 3 years old daughter, a 1 year old son. He's my brother. An Israeli soldier shot him, killed him. When we hear that my brother had been killed, at first we ask why? What did he do? Who killed him? And where's the peace? This is not what we are waiting. We are waiting to live in peace with each other. We are not waiting that one of us being killed. In the Jewish culture, when somebody dies, you sit for 7 days. Shiv'a. In our culture, we said 3 days. We said 3 days for Yusuf. Thousands of Palestinian people came to offer their condolence to me, to my family, Awwad's family. It's a Palestinian family with a strong national identity. Everyone wants to be recognized such as family. So thousands of people came. Most of them have been okay. Some of them started blaming us. Like, look, about Awwad's family. This is the peace that you support. Peace is not a language that those people understand it. The only language that they understand is the violence language. At that time, we have been busy with what's happened to us, to my brother, to his family, to his wife, to his kids. We have no time to listen to their bullshit notes. We finished the 3 days, and after 2 months, something like this, a friend of us came to us with a strange message. He asked that there is a group of Israeli Jewish families that they want to come to visit us, to share us our losing, our pain. And we said, no way. They include everyone in the other side. They kill my brother. And they want to come and say, we are sorry. We don't want to see. We don't want to hear. We don't want to speak with anyone from the other side. That's again and again. They sent another friend of us to explain to us that those people, they are not coming to us as an enemy. They want to come to us in peace. They reject what's happened to us. They are coming to stand with us, to support us. You cannot refuse someone who comes to you in peace. We said, okay, they can come to the village of Beit Umar. In my house, 10 Israel Jewish family. They come, they sit, and we start a meeting like this. We start speaking with each other. I start the meeting by telling them the story of my brother and how their soldier killed my brother without any reason. It has been strange that I've seen part of them, I've seen their tears when they hear the story. Something that, for me at that time, it's very strange. We are enemy. They should be happy that one of their enemy have been killed. But this is not what's happened. They feel my pain. They care about the losing of my brother. How it come? I said, okay, listen. Let's listen more and see what they have. I finish. And then they start. On the head of this group, an Israeli Jewish religious father who his son had been kidnapped and killed by Hamas. And he is sitting in my house, in a Palestinian house. This makes the things more complicated. What's going on here? He should be in the place calling for revenge from the Palestinian people, killing the Palestinian people. But to be here and to sit in my house, it's not enough to be a human being to do this step. You need to be like a mountain to hold all this pain, the losing of your son, the killing, the kidnapping and killing of your son, and coming to one of the house of your enemy. This is not a simple step. And this is make us more and more respect those people. He finished, and they share us another story. And this story, in my eyes, it's an important story in this conflict. It's a story of 14, 15 years old Israeli Jewish girl from a place called Telmont. This girl, one day, she went with her 2 girlfriends to Tel Aviv, 3 girlfriends. None of them went there with a gun. None of them went there to fight anyone. 3 girlfriends, they went there in Purim to celebrate, to do shopping. And in Dizengoff Center, a Palestinian with a suicide bomber, his body, he killed 3 of them and other innocent people in the market. The father and the mother of one of those girls have been sitting in my house. They tell us the story. Also, the mother shared us with part of the diary of her daughter, innocent daughter, and she had been alive. She wrote in her diary a lot of good things about everyone in this world. She mentions one of her dreams, when it's going to be good between us and our Arab neighbor, and when we can visit each other without fear, without hatred. This is one of the dreams of this girl. She became the victim of what's happened in Dizengoff Center. When I hear the story of this girl, for me, Khaled, the Palestinian, it challenged me. Like, until that meetings, I have been standing all the time in the place, we are the Palestinian, we are right, they are wrong, we are innocent, they are guilty, we are the victim, they are the perpetrator. But now, the story of this girl, it changed all the position around the table. It's like in somewhere I feel here that everything's changed. We became the guilty one and they became the innocent. We became the perpetrator and they became the victims. Is this the truth? It's kind of confused. It's make me pull back, like, I don't know what's going on here. I stopped with this story to a deep analysis between me and myself. I want to understand. I want the truth. This innocent girl has been killed. Who killed her? I'm asking and I'm answering between me and myself. Palestinian. Why did he do that? He did that in the name of the Palestinian right, of the Palestinian freedom, of the Palestinian justice. I'm a Palestinian. Did he do that in my name? What's my opinion? Do I accept that someone behave like this in the name of my right? And the answer has been no way. This is not a human behavior. We as a human being should not behave like this. Our right is not a permission for us to go out and kill the people left and right based on that we are right or we think we are right. I cannot accept this. This is not right. This is not a human behavior. We finished the meeting, they left us, and we sit together as a family, Awwad's family, to discuss what the meeting with those people, with those family, do to us. And at the end, this lead us to a conclusion like this. On this piece of land, that we call it Palestine, they call it Israel. My God, my Holy Quran, call it the Holy Land. In the Holy Land, there are two people. One, the Palestinian people. I'm a Palestinian. Like me, there are 5 or 6 million people. We born there, are living there. We belong to this land. This is our homeland. We are not going anywhere. At the same time, in the same piece of land, in the Holy Land, there is another nation. They call themselves the Jewish people, the Israel people, the Zionist people. I have no problem with these names. There are 5 or 6 million people. They are living there. They belong to this land. Based on my Holy Quran, that my God, in this Holy Quran, tell every Muslim in the world the story of the sons of Israel. Start from Abraham, Ishmael, and Yitzchak. Yaakov, the sons of Yaakov, the story of Yosef, the following of Yaakov and his sons and his family to Yosef, to Egypt. They entered to Egypt as respectful people, a free people, and they ended as slaves because they did bad by the Pharaoh. Then God sent Moses with his brother to save his people from the injustice there. Open the sea, 40 years in the desert, to treat those people back to be free people, because they still have a mission. God asked Moses to bring back his people to the Holy Land. He didn't got enough time. We shall be known, continue the mission. And he bring back the sons of Israel to the Holy Land. The story of King David, King Solomon, Beit HaMikdash, Arona Kodesh, it's all mentioned in my Holy Quran. And the Quran, there's no problem in the Muslim world. We are 1,800,000 Muslims. We have no problem around Quran. We all accept it. Muslim, Shia, all of us. So all this is a witness of the belong of the sons of Israel to the Holy Land. So we are two people. We belong to the same land. And there is a conflict between us. And every one of us tell the story of this conflict from his point, from his side. And every one of us stand up in the place that I am innocent, the other one is guilty. I'm the victim, the other one is the perpetrator. Until we met each other. Not a meeting of hatred. Not a meeting of fighting each other. A meeting based on dignity and respect of each other. Listening to each other. The moment that we do that, every one of us will hear another story about the same conflict. We call it the truth of the other side. Connect the two story, the two truths in one heart will give us the whole image, the whole truth of what's going on in the Holy Land. The moment that we do that, the moment that we get out of the place that we feel ourselves innocent and blaming the other one, to a place that every one of us looking to the mirror and ask himself, where I am guilty with what's going on around us, what I should change, what I should do in myself, in my side, in order to end this ugly conflict, this ugly fighting. And for me, this is the first step in the direction of the process of real reconciliation that can lead to a real peace. Real peace is more deeper than signature. The real peace is a deep change inside us, how we are looking to each other, in our values, in what we are saying, in what we are doing, in everything. This is what built the trust between the human being. When you see and hearing from what I am saying and what I am doing, things that are not danger, your existence and your life, this will what will lead to a real trust. I hope that we will succeed in Roots and in every peace organization to lead a process of reconciliation, to rebuild the trust that have been not only damaged, killed, and buried. All the time he helped me. Bury the trust between our two people in the 7th of October. We have a serious mission now, how we can rebuild it. I'm optimist, I'm not pessimist. Yes, what's happened in the 7th of October is very difficult for the Israel people. And what happened later, after that in Gaza, is very difficult for us. Yes, but maybe for both of us, this is a hard lesson to understand that there is a serious problem. There is a big problem. And it needs a solution, a quickly solution, a fast solution. At the end, we will go to this point. Yes, we argue now. We are in a competition, and we are trying to judge each other. My message to every one of us, Palestinian and Israel, this is not the time to judge. This is not the time of competition, who is suffering more and who is less, who paid higher price than the other one, who lost more and who lost less. This is the time to be together. And here the message is for the good people. And I believe me, Khaled, after more than 22, 23, leading a peace process of trying to build a peace between our two people, that the majority of our both people, Palestinian and Israel, are good people. They are really good people. They don't want to kill anyone. They don't want to fight anyone. They want to live in peace. And they all ask, how? What should we do in order to live in peace? We have a minority, an extreme minority, here and here. And they didn't want us to live in peace. The opposite. They want us to continue killing each other. Any opportunity of peace, they will fight it. They will close the door in front of it. Starting from Hamas in 1993, when they start all their terrorist attack in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. It's not to fight Israel, it's to fight the peace agreement. And we continue, and we continue. And this is what we've seen from Ben Gvir, from Smotrich, all these extreme people. They don't care about the life of the human being. They don't care about the life of us. Thank you. Shukran. مرحبا اسمي خالد أبو عواد من قرية بيت عمر فلسطين.
שלום, אני הדסה פרומן, מתקוע, אשתו של הרב מנחם פרומן, זיכרונו לברכה.
My name is Nadine, I am from Bethlehem.
Shalom, my name is Shaul, I live in Tekoa.
Hi, I'm Bilal, I'm from Peterman.
My name is Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger, and I live in Landshut.
4 years ago, here in our family land, Roots start. Roots is a partnership between people from both sides. People who believe in non-violence, dignity and equality between our people. Dignity for me is when you respect the other one, when you give him the space for his life, when you respect his opinion, his culture. This is the dignity. And it's very important for us, the Middle East people. We try here to give another picture to the people in order to increase the hope inside them.
We work in many different directions, but one of the core things that happens here is the people-to-people work.
Nobody could imagine a space where Israeli and Palestinian youth from the West Bank could meet each other and work together on building a better future. This cannot happen without friendship, without love for each other, and to have fun together.
In all my life, before I come to youth group, I only went once to Israel or to beach. It was very emotional to go with each other because I never imagined that I would go to beach with an Israeli, you know.
All of these programs engage with our local communities. Bringing people who are a little bit afraid to come, came for the first time, and then saw something that surprised them and became involved.
אנחנו פה עומדים כולנו בכאב גדול. והשאלה איך גורמים לזה שזה לא יהיה עוד פעם ולא נעמוד פה באותו בכי.
It was so important when Rose went to Sion Junction, you know, to protest against the violence in Douma. What Palestinians and Israelis should condemn violence and should stand with each other against violence and should show the people, the world, and also the extremists on both sides that there are Palestinians who are against violence and they are protesting and they are saying no violence in my name, and also Israelis who are saying the same thing.
In many ways. I travel and speak all over Israel, in the radio, in the television, and a lot of meeting with young people. People are thirsty to hear what we are doing. They don't believe the dream of peace can become free.
Roots Network today includes representatives from 28 different Israeli and Palestinian towns in this area, this local area.
Roots has created a miracle, an expanding island of sanity, a veritable Garden of Eden, in a land full with so much ignorance of the other, prejudice, stereotypes, and fear. We are beginning to bring a little bit of healing, deep recognition of the others belonging to this land, preparing the ground for a future of coexistence, human rights, dignity, and mutual recognition. We need your help. We ask you to join us and join the thousands of people around the globe who are supporting Roots. Instead of exporting the Palestinian-Israeli conflict to the four corners of the globe, help us to export recognition and respect. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's working? Yes. This video was made 6-7 years ago. Since we made the video, our work expanded. I'll tell you briefly that we have activities for little kids, arts and crafts, Israeli and Palestinian together, photography workshops for middle school kids, photography workshops for women. We had a storytelling group, a playback. We've had a lot of interfaith dialogue, listening circles, the high school youth movement, lectures monthly on the other side's culture, religion, learning the other side's language. And since October 7th, things have changed. For two reasons they've changed. One, logistically, our Palestinian participants just can't come to our Dignity Center, our community center, because the army, Israeli army, has closed off roads, blockaded villages, completely denied freedom of movement. They just can't get there. And the second reason, of course, is because hearts have been closed on both sides, Israelis and Palestinians. We were swimming against the grain before October 7th. Now we are completely swimming upstream. Less and less people are willing to meet the other side. So our goals have not changed, our vision has not changed, but our strategy has changed. Until October 7th, 70-80% of our work was local people meeting local people, the grassroots listening. Since October 7th, the proportions have changed. Now, perhaps only 20 or 30% of our work are the listening circles and the two sides meeting each other. What's taken the place of this grassroots work? Number one, humanitarian work, supporting Palestinian peacemakers who have lost their livelihood. Number two, trauma workshops, trauma therapy. Number three, intra-community work, Israeli separate and Palestinian separately, trying to reconstitute our sense of what's possible in the future. How do we go forward? And lastly, a major part of our work today is anti-violence work. A small part of it is in Palestinian schools. The major part of it is on the Israeli side, combating settler violence. It means working with parents, working with rabbis, working with teachers, working sometimes with the kids themselves, the youth who are doing the violence. A good part of the violence comes from the chavot, the new farms that have been established, little agricultural settlements that are put next to Palestinian villages in order to harass them and throw them off their land. We're working with, as I said, the parents and the teachers. We're also working sometimes with the Israeli army and police. When we hear word of something brewing, we hope, we notify the army. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't, head off the violence. And some of the anti-violence work ends up being after the fact, going to a burned-out mosque that was firebombed by Jewish extremists and saying, not in our name, expressing our condolences, offering money and manpower to rebuild. We have bad news and we have also good news. We invite you to join our mailing list with the QR code. Every month we send out an email about the trials and tribulations, the failures and the success of our work. It would be helpful to us if you'd all join using QR code. I've been told by the rabbi that if you don't join the QR code, she'll put you on our list anyway from you signing up beforehand. But that was manually and helps us if you do it digitally. And with that, we can move to the questions and answers.
I'm emotional as wow. We're going to take some time for some questions and answers. I think maybe if you guys would come up here. And I think I'm going to ask that the questions be as short as possible, less of a statement, or so that we will have time to have questions. But I understand you'll want to say things, but so we can get as many in as we can. Just asking everyone to say everything from your heart in a heartfelt way, in your heart center. And if you could introduce yourself, even just your first name, that would be great to start. But I think we'll do it that way. We have another mic here, and I will bring the mic to you so that everyone can hear. So if you have questions, great. I'll start with Michelle. And if you could stand up for your question too.
Shel Horowitz, Jewish activist for immigration justice. Shukran, Todah. How can we, as people here in the U.S., help to make peace at a time when our government, the federal government here, is so anti-peace?
In another 15 minutes, we'll show 4 slides that try to answer that question. But I want to admit that even after you read all the things we suggest, you'll still be asking, how do I really make a difference? I don't think we have a full answer to the question, but we will show you some suggestions.
I'm Ruth. Hi. So I go to visit some of the demonstrators downtown in my town, Greenfield, who, have the Palestinian flag and stuff. And I talk to them, and they're of the opinion that the Palestinians are innocent and the Israelis are guilty. Then I'm also on a Facebook group which has the opposite opinion, that the Israelis are innocent, Palestinians are guilty. And it seems like everybody in the United States has one of those two opinions. It's very, very rare to find anybody that has a more nuanced view like you. It's always like the baddies and the goodies. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's very difficult. I don't know what my question is exactly, but do you understand what I'm saying?
You are right. There is a coming saying in Arabic. We say, "جيتك يا عبد المعين تعيني لقيتك بدك من يعين." I came to you to help me. I find you looking for someone to help you. So I know that we have, the conflict is there and the fighting is here. That make me angry that the people, instead of being supporter to us, helping us solving our problem there, they transfer our problem to this society and to different places. So my message is, and also as an answer to what you asked, I think what we need, not only from here, all over the world, all the people who love us, is not to support me against Hanan or Hanan against me. We need from them to support both of us, the peace between both of us, the solution between both of us. This is what can help us. But when you support him against me, you put more gas on the fire, or fuel on the fire. And when you support me against him, it's the same. So don't support me, don't support him. Support the solution between both of us.
Hi, my name is Adam. Thank you both for being here. I'm curious to hear more about the process of how you logistically created the space and got people to show up and found people who were willing have that dialogue, because I find myself often meeting people who are very charged one way or the other for conflict, or even just, supporting different political sides, and wanting to have that dialogue and not seeing any practical way to be like, how do I get in touch with like a Donald Trump supporter to just talk? So I'm wondering how you found people willing to just come to your center and have those dialogues and enter that space. Thank you.
Thank you. We are very known in our society, let's say in the Palestinian side, we are very known as a family. We are very active from Jenin to Hebron. And we are active in building peace, and since 23, 24 years. So in every town and in every village, we have our people. And through them, when we want to invite, when we want people, they raise people for us. They invite the people to come to our activities. Because of this, we succeed. Listen, our mission is not an easy mission. To open the gate between the Palestinian and the settlers in the West Bank, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. And look, the same people who ask us to do this, those who said all the time, are you coming to convince the convinced people? Yeah, now we are going to convince the non-convinced people, which is them, the settlers. And again, they're blaming us. I have a friend from Tel Aviv, a Jewish friend. When he came to me, to my land, he said, I will not enter to you, Khaled. Why? You are in a relationship with the settlers. His name is Bouma. I said, Bouma, don't you want me to go and convince the non-convinced people? He said, yes. I told him, this is the non-convinced people. What do you want? He said, okay, I can't drink coffee now. So yes. And our friend, I know that everywhere, in every settlement or yeshub, they have friends there. We succeed to establish our center in Gush Etzion, our branch in the Jordan Valley, in Kibbutz Nahran, our branch in the Tzafon, the north, between Ariel and Nablus. We are trying, we have a place already, we have our Palestinian partners in South Hebron, but we don't have Israel partners there. They are very extreme there. In the Masafir Yatta, the settlers there are those we should throw to the desert or to the Yemen.
Two aspects to my answer to add what Khaled said. The space, the Awwad family land where we built our Dignity Center is unique. Look, according to Israeli military law that governs our lives in the West Bank, Israeli Jews are not allowed into Palestinian areas, and Palestinians are not allowed into Israeli areas. So there's no place to meet. No place to meet, except areas that are not residentially Palestinian or Israeli farmland. And here we have this piece of farmland that the family owns, and they have agreed to turn it into this community center. It happens to be on a main road so people can come. So it's a safe space. So the space is very important. And then the people, Khaled talked about how we bring Palestinians. So as far as Israelis go, people know that when they come to activities, there's no preaching. It's just listening. It's just meeting. It's just hearing how people live their lives. And the second very important point is that there are Israelis who will not go to meet Palestinians because that sounds like you're crossing a political red line, but they will go to meet Muslims. Of course, it's the same thing. In other words, if you bill it as interfaith dialogue, as Jews meeting Muslims, it draws a group of people that otherwise wouldn't come. Those are two examples.
I wish I had known that there were people who, if I had called it that, might have come. But because we have that, it's like, it's here too. Yeah. We're going to have more questions. Okay.
So first I want to say it's humbling to meet you because you're on this front line and know things we don't. But your wisdom to extend the issue to here, that the roots go wide, and that there's this, I feel like when we talk about the front line of the battle, I mean, there's like a front line of peace that we're all getting closer to. I started feeling it tonight. I just had two thoughts. One was to see how they work. The pictures that you have of Palestinians and Israelis being together is heart-opening. It's so powerful just to see it. And I'm wondering to have a campaign of more and more of those pictures. And also that those pictures could also be, we stand for peace. And, people putting their image and saying, this is who we are. And it's a picture that lasts forever, And the other thought was when you had that idea that the land has two children. Is there any kind of way in which you could say the land wants to be served, to be stewards of this land, that's holy land, wants the peace, and to say what is the land saying to us in order for us to honor our belonging?
Thank you. I'll just say that what you said reminds me a little bit of something said by one of the spiritual fathers of Roots, Rabbi Menachem Fruman, who passed away a year before we founded Roots. He said that the land doesn't belong to us, we belong to the land.
He said, you have a saying in the religious identity, the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel. So Menachem Fruman, he said, I cannot accept this. What should be done? He said, the people of Israel belong to the land of Israel, and all the lands belong to the God, to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is, this simple sentence solve for us a huge problem. It opened the door to accept another belong to the same land, which is the two sons. So thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Amita. I've been to Beit Umar, and I've also been to that land, to Ali's land, to your land, Khaled.
You're welcome again, and all of
yes,
you. I invite all of you to come.
Inshallah.
To be my guests.
So.
Just call me if you come there.
Okay, I still have my Israeli phone number, and we'll WhatsApp. So, we're coming the end of March. Maybe we should go. So, my question is, I know that since October 7th, the Palestinians cannot move. I mean, I have contacts, and we can't leave our village. So, Hanan, even though, legally, you can't go to Beit Umar, you have been there. I have been there. It's like in this time, it seems the only way to do the face-to-face is the Israelis have to go to the villages and stand and say to the soldiers, we have friends that we want to talk to. Let us through. I mean, you have a better chance of getting in and meet. They can't get out. So I'm just wondering, has there been any attempts, and what would, it seems to me that's the next, what else can you do in these times? And when is the Seger, when are the Palestinians going to be able to, I mean, I know it's not in your hands, but when are they going to be able to move again? It's in Admatai, yeah.
Yeah, you are right. I camped in the area of Bethlehem and Hebron. The Israel army put 228 new gates. 228 gates in the entrance of every village and city. And these gates, most of it is closed. A few, like the entrance to Hebron, they open it from, I think, 7 in the morning until 10 p.m. But in the village, they open it 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours afternoon. That's it. And most of the days, most of the week, they didn't open it. The movement to move inside the West Bank nowadays it became a catastrophe. For me to come here to the United States, I left my house 3 days before the date of my flight, just to be sure that I can come here. 3 days. We have what we call it the container checkpoint. It is a checkpoint between south and north of the West Bank. It's a very ugly checkpoint. They close it 2 or 3 times a day. And every time when they close it, you can imagine, you will see in both sides of the checkpoint, thousands of cars and lorries standing and waiting to cross. This is the only place that we can cross from south to north or north to south of the West Bank. So it's difficult. But to take Hanan to Beit Umar, it's also a problem. Maybe if he without the beer and without the kippah, this is in order to save him from the Palestinian. With the beer and the kippah, the Israel will not let him go. The army will arrest him. So he's in both cases he's in danger. We will go.
I just wanted to make it clear that yes, Palestinian movement has been greatly restricted, but we haven't completely canceled our people-to-people work. It's been reduced. There have been, how many altogether now, 20, 25 times that we have gotten together since October 7th at our Dignity Center in the Jordan Valley. We also got together in France. The activists, 12 Israelis and 12 Palestinians, went to France for a week for deep dialogue and listening and trauma therapy. So we are still coming together with great difficulty. And when we went to the Jordan Valley, some of the Palestinians took them 3 hours to get there. It's supposed to be an hour drive, and some never got there, yes. The second thing I wanted to say is that I spent a week in Beit Jala, day and night, just a few months ago. I was afraid, but I thought it was really important. I've never been to Beit Umar, never. I've had many Palestinian friends who invite me, and Khaled is very realistic. He said, Hanan, what he just said to you, right? He said it's probably not a good idea. I just want to say that to bring Israelis today to Beit Umar, even to Beit Jala, which is part of Bethlehem, I'm one of the few that's willing to do it. We're not going to get people to go to Beit Jala, Israelis.
We're going to keep going if people are okay, because I feel like there's a lot of good questions.
Hi, my name's Ronnie, and I came here, I live in Northampton. I came here because this idea obviously is beautiful and one we need to see more and more. But I came here also out of fear, sort of as the poor woman was sharing, of how our local community has been handling this. And specifically, in the way it has impacted Jews and Israelis. A daughter who this year has had swastikas thrown at her, and friends say don't speak Hebrew downtown in Northampton because it's not wanted here. And so, but I came here open-minded. So a question for you, Rabbi, because I got nervous when you shared your perspective of how Israelis don't see Palestinians. You talked about the gray area, right? Having gone for 50 years almost 50, for 50 years to Israel, my family all lives there, in Tel Aviv, that was never the story that I understood about Palestinians. It was never that they were seen in the background. It was that they were seen as brothers and sisters, and there's some horrible things on both sides that they want to see go away. But every Israeli, even this past year, I was in Israel, after October 7th. And even then, they were talking about the suffering of Palestinians. So I would like you to speak to that if you can, because your depiction of how Israelis have seen Palestinians in the background is just different from my experience. And I feel that it's important for I worry folks in our community leave here thinking that that's how all Israelis have seen Palestinians.
Thank you. Just very briefly, I'm describing first of my own experience, my own personal experience, and secondly, I'm describing the experience in the settler community in Alon Shvut, where I live, and in Gush Etzion, the larger municipal area. And from my experience, almost all of the settlers, the Palestinians are transparent. You had a different experience, you said, in Tel Aviv. I'll tell you that since October 7th, my experience is that even Israelis in Tel Aviv, so many of them don't have a drop of room in their heart to empathize for anyone but us. Do we have different experiences?
Okay.
My name is Ash. I'm a local college student. I attend Hampshire College. And I am here because I'm not Palestinian and I'm not Jewish, but I've seen so much escalation on college campuses, including my own, since October 7th. And I know you said you'd talk about this later at the end of the slideshow, but I wondered if, specifically in the lens of, I am not Palestinian nor Jewish, and I am trying to talk with my peers who are not Palestinian or Jewish, and who are saying things, who are advocating for Palestinians and advocating against Israelis, and even suggesting peace has come with distrust and hatred. And so bridging that divide, especially I don't know, it seems like so much of this is coming from people who are not directly affected by the conflict, but are still escalating it. And I was wondering if you had any guidance for breaching that.
I don't know what to say other than what we've said already. Just to summarize, advocate for and not against. Right? That's the basic rule that comes out of this. And to listen until it hurts and to listen some more. Just to listen and let people get things off their chest. And then to suggest that they learn more and that they listen.
Sorry, I know there's so many things.
Hi, I'm Jody. Wow, so first of all, thank you. I think of myself as a peacemaker, yet this evening went deeper for me. Thank you. We're bringing a bunch of women to Israel in the end of the next month to work with Palestinians and Israeli, Jewish and Palestinian women who work towards peace. So love to see if we can connect with you. But I have a really naive question, which is for you and for this group and for, I see and I feel the process and it's the humanization. And is the goal, if there is a goal, is it one land for all? Is it Israel-Palestine? Is it, it certainly doesn't sound like two states, it sounds like something else. And that something else, how does that get to the political level of the Gvir and the Smotrich? And how do we get there from here?
I think we're still far away from this. This is, for me, the end of the process, the end of the way. At this time, with this terrible trust, with this level of fear between the two sides, to open the subject of the solution is not the right thing. We need, first of all, to bring the people down, to bring back the trust, to fight a little bit the fear of the people. And then we can open and talk. For me, Khaled, personally, my answer for all the groups that I met, for me, every Palestinian and every Israel Jewish in the Holy Land, he can consider his house an independent state, and I don't care. One state, 2 states, 1,000, 1 million state, I don't care. We need, first of all, to accept each other. If we accept each other, a small state can have all of us. If we hate each other, if we don't accept each other, if we are thinking in a selfish way, also if you give us the United States, it will not be enough for our 2 people. This is a fact. We cannot forget it. What we see, for me, like there's an initiative called about 2 state, 1 homeland, which is it's more close to what I believe in the future, not now, but this is one of the things that I can see. It's maybe Hanan.
I'll elaborate on the 2 states, 1 homeland idea. It's confederation between a sovereign, independent Jewish state and a sovereign, independent Palestinian state. The borders would more or less be that the Palestinian state is the West Bank and Gaza. There might be some land swaps. But we're talking about 2 intertwined states, like the European Union, Germany and France, Germany and Switzerland. The intertwining is on 3 levels. Number 1, open borders, which means you can go from one side to the other freely. Number 2, open residency, which means the following. You can be a Palestinian born in Palestine, or born in the state of Israel, or born in Massachusetts, get Palestinian citizenship, and live your whole life in the state of Israel. Getting Israeli residency, but not citizenship. You vote then in Israeli local elections, municipal elections, and in Palestinian national elections. You're not a citizen of Israel, a citizen of Palestine, and you can be a Jew, born in Israel, or born in Palestine, like my children, in Alon Shvut Gush Etzion, or born in Massachusetts, get Israeli citizenship, and live your whole life in Palestine as a resident of Palestine, but a citizen of Israel, voting in Israeli national elections and in Palestinian municipal elections. Number 3, after we talked about open borders and open residency, then we have the organs of confederation. There are elections for the president, the vice president, etc. There's a parliament. And what this plan does is the following. It squares the circle because it answers 2 contradictory needs. The first need is the need for Israelis and Palestinians to express their identities through a sovereign state. And both sides have that need, even though it's greater on the Jewish side than the Palestinian side. Both sides have the need for a sovereign state, and both sides' identities demand that they get the whole land from the river to the sea. How do you give both sides the whole land, but also give each its own state? And we just gave you the answer to that paradox. Each side has their own sovereign state, but each side is also part of the confederation. It gives them a sense that they've gotten some connection to the whole land from the river to the sea. This plan is advocated by a movement called the Land for All. We'll show you another 2 or 3 minutes their website, the Land for All. And of course, some of you may be thinking now that it's impossible, it's a pipe dream, and you're right. It requires trust. And as Khaled has been saying, trust is dead today. And therefore, in addition to the political advocacy that the Land for All movement does in spreading word about this plan, we also have to do the grassroots work that Roots does of recreating trust.
Hi, my name is Ronit. I have a statement and a question. So I work at Hampshire College also, and I work with children. I'm the director of the Early Learning Center. So the question that I have is like, what do you do with children? Because we start with the children, isn't it? If we want to create the next generation that will be accepting each other, we need to start young when they're younger. And like if we're looking at most of us, we have been there for a while. That's my question. My statement is, I'm jealous at you that you feel like that you know and you feel very strongly about how you feel, because I, since October 7th, I'm here and there and there and there. Like my feeling and my emotion moving all the time and changing all the time. And sometimes I'm so angry and sometimes I'm so hopeful. And I don't know, I don't know how you can do it, how you can get to this moment to really be there.
We're human also, we just don't show it.
Part of the fighting is an educational fighting that we know all. I think the education is also should be part of any process if we want to have a real peace in the future. And what's going on there in Israel or in Palestine is the opposite. We educate, our educational system, our educational documents is also part of the fighting and العليم to disappear the identity of the other one. العليم الزهود של השני. To trample the identity of the other one. In Roots, if you watch the film here, we bring our kids. We want them to know each other as a human being, to have a good relationship between them. We want to educate them to love each other and not to hate each other. And we first, the kids are an innocent people. And also part of what we are doing, we study from their behavior. We've seen two small girls, Palestinian girl and Israel girl. They play a game, and then the game is they paint the map of the Holy Land on the ground. And if you do like this, you jump in the map of your state. And when the Israel girl went, she wanted, her partner is a Palestinian, she jumped inside the map and she said to her partner, come jump with me to Israel. She said, no, it's not my state. Where's your state? My state is Palestine. Where is Palestine? These innocent questions lead you to study and to know how those kids thinking. So yes, we need, if we educate our kids how to love each other, we will give them a good life in the Holy Land. If we educate them to continue to hate each other, they will kill each other, and we gave them a terrible life in the Holy Land. It's our choice, it's our decision. Can we go over our anger and our hatred and start building a new relationship between both of us? For me, I'm telling myself, in the Holy Land, we have enough land. Yes, it's a small country, but we are 10, 12 million people. It's bigger than this. It can have all of us. We have enough air. We have problem with water, we can solve it together. We have a lot of seawater, we can recycle and do. So why we cannot accept each other? This is the problem. This is what we should change. The first image. At the beginning we said, our parents and the grandparents, they said, we will throw the Jewish people into the sea. They mean it. They thought that they can do it. And what's happened? The Jewish people, the Israeli people succeed to build this beautiful country, this beautiful state. Now what's happened is the opposite. The Israel people, the Israel Jewish people want to throw us into the desert. Enough. They cannot. We cannot. The third station is to accept each other, to believe that none of us can throw the other one out of this country, to believe that this country is for both of us. It's our homeland, both. As Hanan said, none of us have another place to go to. This is the state of the Palestinian people. We have no other place to go. This is the state of the Israel Jewish people. They have no other place to go to. And none of us occupy this land. It's the land of us both. Yes, there's an occupation of the people on the land. The strong one occupied the weak one. This is what we are fighting nowadays for. A kind of justice between both of us, that we both treated in an equal way, and not living behind 228 gates, just in 30% of the West Bank.
Yes. I think I know we're losing people. I'm gonna have. Yes, he does too, and also Sarah. So I think I'm gonna give it to Sarah. You want to do a joint question? You're both so kind. We're gonna do a question. We want. There are a few more slides and ways to get involved, and of course, this event is to support Roots to do what they can do. So I'm going to give it to Sarah, and then we're going to say goodbye. And then I think if you have people can come up and continue talking, and then we'll do a little closure because I know it's getting late.
My name is Sarah. I'm an interfaith minister, and I have run a peace camp for 31 years. And we greet you. We talked this year about Dear Future. So we've started Peace Camps Connect, connecting peace camps all over the world. So in the play, Raz Kunis, is she still doing peace camps?
Raz. Yeah. Raz. Raz is Raz. Raz just got engaged. Yeah. She's still. I've seen her. She's in the listening group also.
I'll go up and talk after. I want to give David a chance.
That was the question. Oh, that was your part. David.
She's an amazing girl. She's good in leading youth and groups.
Well, thank you. My name is David, and just appreciate your courage and integrity. This time of authoritarian extremism that uses polarization. You're inspiring and remind us, And I'm wondering about the religious text study. I'm wondering about the religious text study that you do together. There's a way to share that. And because a particular question that I'm deeply troubled by is how, for people who move to Judea and Samaria, how love of the land and the holiness of the land can be higher than do not murder. And I wonder how you talk about that together. And if there's a way to share that, maybe we could do text study together over Zoom sometime. So I'd love to hear more about that part of your work.
Let me just say briefly two things. One is that it seems to many of us in the religious peace movement that the value of Eretz Yisrael, the value of the land, has become an idolatrous value. My teacher in Yeshivat Har Etzion, my teacher in Yeshiva, Rav Yehuda Amital, always used to say that there are three central values in Judaism: the Torah of Israel, the people of Israel, and the land of Israel. And the people of Israel come first. But many, many, many religious Jews today, and more, are putting the land of Israel first. And in his mind, that was a perversion of values. The second thing I'll say is that one of the members of our Interfaith Dialogue group, Rabbi Nagen, who was in the video, he's the head of an institution that's called Center for Judaism and Humanity. And they just put out a book that a year ago that was just translated into English. It's called Ushmo Echad, and his name is one. And it is a mining of Jewish sources from the past 2,000 years to amplify those texts and those interpreters, those commentators who present to us a better way of understanding the Jewish relationship to the peoples of the world and to the other religions of the world. I think that's enough for now. I don't want to lose everyone. Do you want to make you stay too long?
We want to do
Let's look at this slide for a minute. You asked us questions. Now we're asking you for something, which is your money. If you're able to give us your money, we would like it. You can see the QR code there. You can see the friendsofroots.net. That's our website. There you can learn more about our work and you can donate. If you're not going to do it to the QR code. And we have a list here of some things that certain amounts of money can do. If you want to take a picture of the slide, that's great. And another 5 seconds, we'll move to the next slide because we want everyone to be able to go home and go to sleep. 4, 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh. Here's other things that you can do. Websites and ideas. I'm not going to read them to you. Again, those who want to take a picture can do that. And I'm going to move to the next slide.
It's all on your website, right?
It's actually not. I have to make sure to put it there. Thank you for reminding me. If we heard from a college student, I guess she's gone, we have on 11 college campuses, we have an affiliate, a campus affiliate of Roots. It's called a Tidna, which is a combination of Hebrew and Arabic that means our future. And we'd love to see more and more chapters of a Tidna around campuses in the US. That QR code can help you reach the founder who can help you to form a chapter. So we mentioned here Rabbis of Human Rights and counter programs. We mentioned A Land for All. That's the Confederation, the organization that advocates for confederation. And I'm going to move the slide in 5 seconds. Go back one. Oh no. Okay, I went back.
Also, I do have all of these slides, so those who are interested, I can send.
Did you say you could send us the sweatshirt?
I think I can with their permission, but we'll
This isn't working. Okay. Let's close with one sentence. That's okay? If you came here tonight as a strong supporter of Palestine, we hope you leave as a strong supporter of Palestine. And if you came as a strong supporter of Israel, we hope you leave as a strong supporter of Israel. But we really hope you won't leave as a strong supporter of one side at the expense of the other side. Because if Israel doesn't get what it needs, wants, and deserves, the Palestinians won't get what they need, want, and deserve. And if the Palestinians don't get what they need, want, and deserve, Israel won't get what it needs, wants, and deserves. And therefore, it's clear to us, pro-Israel and at the same time pro-Palestine, that's the only way to be pro a better future for both sides.